Good afternoon. Welcome back to the B&H virtual event space. I apologize for the technical delay there. We were waiting for AI to complete my version. This is not the real me. We're talking AI. So I was like, Kathy, why don't you and your team create an AI version to host today? So no, I'm kidding. Very horrible joke to start the day, but it is Save Your Photos Month. And we are talking about AI being used for photo enthusiasts. So I would like to first welcome back Kathy Nelson from the Photo Managers. If you guys do not know Kathy, we're going to drop some links to our past content with the Photo Managers. But Kathy, welcome.
Thank you so much. Glad to be back, Derek. Good to see you.
Always good to have you on. And the best part of when you come on is you always bring guests. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Kathy, and welcome to Kathy and her crew here. We have Susan and Josh joining us as well. But I'm going to let you guys take over, and I'll see you in a bit for some Q&A.
All right, this is an excited to bring you all this. My name is Kathy Nelson, the CEO and founder of the Photo Managers. And this is this month of September, we'll be joining you every Tuesday with amazing guest speakers on really important topics. And this month, this week, it's all about managing changing technology. And nothing is changing technology in the photo space faster than what's happening with AI in the photo space. So if you're interested in learning more, you can go to saveyourphotos.org. We have free courses all month long. We do live panel discussions and opportunities to meet and discuss photo organizing with real photo managers. And so I'm thrilled to introduce you both to Susan and Josh, who are kind of our AI experts at the Photo Managers these days. And they're going to take you through a fascinating recording or webinar about what's happening in AI. So Susan, I'll let you share your screen and take it from here.
Wonderful. All right, so let's get started. Josh and I did a similar presentation to our association not too many weeks ago, and we're excited to bring it now to this audience. There is a lot to talk about, so we hope to go through this not too fast, but enough so that you can digest it, and then we can answer any questions at the end. Josh, why don't you get started and introduce yourself to this lovely audience?
Hey, how's it going? I'm Joshua Nelson. Thank you for having me, B&H. So a little bit about myself. I grew up with a mother in the creative memories industry, watching her build her own business at home. Later, I graduated with a graphic design and business degree, starting my own successful graphic design business right out of college. I worked with organizations like Make-A-Wish, the Connecticut government, various colleges, even doing projects for scuba diving NGOs, and as well as local startups. After being in the industry for about 15 years, I decided to go fully LLC with my business called Central Connecticut Scanning, or CCS. I was a ghost editor for the Photo Managers and doing slideshows for quite some time. So I'm very excited. The past year, I finally transitioned over to LLC.
Wonderful. And I am Susan Wolak. I am owner of Save a Memory here in Colorado. I'm in the northern Boulder County area, although I am helping people in all areas, all regions of the country so far. I've got an interesting background, a little different than Josh's. My experience is more in the IT field. I just retired from being a webmaster for local government in January of 2022. And that's when I started up my business over a year ago. My background, I fell in love with computers in the early 80s. If any of you were in companies that we're using computers back in the day. That's how I fell in love doing data processing and then desktop processing. And then I taught myself the inner workings of PC, and I did PC repair and upgrades for folks, and did a little network administration, graphic design, and then I taught myself web design. And that's when I landed the job at the city and worked there for 24 years. And my experience in photography has always been a love since I was little. And so when I retired, I found this career, I found it in 2019 before I retired. It was called APO back then. Now it's the Photo Managers. And it really just connected with me because I could use all my previous life skills with a new company and continue to help people. So that's my background. So let's get started on what we're going to talk about today. And that's AI. It's the buzzword, I think, that you could, say for 2023. And people think that the growth, just popped up like a rocket this year, but in fact, it's been culminating over many, many years behind the scenes. As with anything, technology multiplies and speeds of things get faster. So does software and technology. So we're going to provide a little bit of some history and how we got here, and then also provide you with some chat prompts. We will, I guess I forgot to mention that with Derek, and we can circle back on that. Maybe that can be linked out on the final version of this video. So here's our agenda in brief. We'll just go over what AI is, introduction to Chat GPT, and we're going to talk about some limitations and best practices, and then get right into the demos, and then have your questions and answers at the end. So how did we get here? Again, what is AI? AI is artificial intelligence, and it's the ability for a machine to mimic human behavior. So it's not human intelligence. It's more if what it does is it learns predictive decisions. So if the word "the" appears after a sentence with other words, it learns how to predict what the next word or sentence should be. And so it's based on the data that these engineers have been feeding it over the years. So the beginning of AI actually can date back to 1956, when a group of enthusiasts came together, and this was in the Dartmouth Summer Research Project on artificial intelligence, and it marked the formal start of AI research. It has what's been called AI winters, and all that means is that things slowed down in that AI research project, and then it sped up. And the reason it sped up is because technology began to get better, and we had the computing power to throw the data at it, and the storage and all of that. And so the machine learning algorithms really just went bonkers as of late. And some of what you're going to learn might be disturbing, meaning some of the researchers are not so sure where all this is headed even today. And we'll talk about some of that. So when we look at AI and where we're already using it, a lot of people think it's this separate thing out there that you have to engage with, when in realities, right now, a lot of companies have already integrated AI features, whether it's the Chat GPT engine into a piece of software or other technology, or they're creating new pieces of software that behind the scenes uses that technology. And so you just interact with that front-facing tool. I can remember early in the 2000s being asked to learn Dragon Natural Speaking. It was a piece of software that you could talk and it would convert your audio to text. And that was early 2000s. And then you saw it maybe show up in phones later. I know I have a Google Pixel, and I absolutely love the speech recognition in it and the virtual assistants, because now it screens my calls. All the different search engines use AI. You may be using tools like Google or Apple or Amazon Photos. Photo Sweeper is another good one. A new software called Good Ones, which is kind of a gamified phone app where it'll go through your photos, and it'll help pick what it thinks is the best image for you to keep. And then you can decide whether you want to keep the other ones or trash them. It's very helpful. I personally love the software tools from Topaz, because it really benefits me as a photographer and as a photo manager to help denoise, sharpen, and do facial sharpening on photos, not only for my collection, but for my customers. Josh, do you want to talk about the other side there?
For sure. So for video montages, we have AI such as Premiere Pro, Final Cut. For demographics, for marketing, you can use Wolfram Alpha, ChatGPT for text and content, DALL-E, Stable Diffusion, eLuna, any of those generative AI, text to image AI softwares. Adobe Firefly is one as well. I love using Adobe Firefly. Waymark and Flicky is also a AI video creation that you can use. I mean, incorporate speech, pretty much anything in that. We'll go into depth with Waymark later on, and Midjourney for images. We're going to dive into depth with Midjourney, DALL-E, ChatGPT later on as well. Stable Diffusion for creating content for social media. All right, so roles in various industries. AI's versatility spans multiple sectors: disease diagnosis and personal care, predicting consumer behavior and supply chain optimization, fraud detection and risk management, content recommendation and personalization for entertainment. And in the photo management industry, AI automates tagging and keywording, distinguishes subjects like adults and children, AI for image recognition, categorized based on content, date, time, and location, identifies groups with similar photos, prioritizing clear and open-eyed shots, offers advanced search features, and integrates with platforms such as Adobe Lightroom. It also detects and removes duplicates, and there's just so much more that AI is diving into depth now, and we're just at the surface.
So in recent years, the creation of ChatGPT by a company called OpenAI is getting publicity, I should say, in their innovative language model. And it understands human language exceptionally well, allowing it to engage in conversations. It can assist you in writing and even making jokes. Since its public demonstration in we're just basically coming up upon a year, so in November of 2022, it has been now widely distributed and used in all types of industries, as Josh mentioned. It is a very sophisticated tool. And so what we hope to do is just kind of show you how you might be able to incorporate it in your own personal use, whether it's for business or for your own personal projects. And the progress and popularity of AI and models like ChatGPT highlight the exciting possibilities of how we can move forward with these AI-powered tools. And people are scared. And we go through this every time there's some new thing. I remember all the excitement and scary premonitions of what the internet was going to be back in the 80s and the 90s. And look today, there's positives and negatives with everything. All right, Josh.
So like any AI, ChatGPT has limitations, and it may not always provide accurate responses, especially for specific topics. Best practices include clear and detailed prompts, verifying your generated content for accuracy and relevancy. So for some ethical concerns around AI, ethical concerns such as biases, privacy, transparency, accountability, job loss, and misuse require responsible AI development and deployment. Balancing AI's pros and cons is vital for ethical societal integration. So there are data biases, algorithmic biases, racial and gender. This can lead to, misrepresentation, as well as deepening inequalities for social economic, such as like if a country is specific favor for AI and another isn't, that's going to deepen the inequality.
So where is this all heading? Josh shared this. We were preparing this. I think, Josh, did we begin educating ourselves in all this? I think it was like maybe in May or June of this year.
I think it was May.
And March of 2023, he shares this link, and we can pop this into the Josh, maybe you can help me pop that link into it's on my slide to YouTube's presentation. It's the AI dilemma. And one of the things that popped out to me, there was so much in this talk that these two gentlemen presented, but this one really got me. And it was new capabilities suddenly emerging. And what does that mean? Well, if you look at these 4 charts on the left, you can see that they're comparing the technology by Google and the OpenAI ChatGPT technology, and they're feeding this AI engine all this data. And it can't do math, it can't do math, it can't do math. And then boink, all of a sudden it can do math. And they're like, they have no idea like how long it takes it to like move on to the next concept that it can then accomplish. And the one that really got me was, if you look in the 4th box, that is Persian. Yes, it learned after a certain point, all of a sudden, it not only could write questions in Persian, but it could answer those questions in Persian, a whole language. And the researchers were just blown away by that. And so, yes, there's this growing understanding of it being fed all this data and it learning, and what is it going to learn to do next? And no one really knows.
So there are some cautions when using AI. It is important to keep the following cautions in mind, such as tailoring prompts to align with your brand or style, handle statistics with data in extreme care, refrain from making broad claims based solely on AI outputs, recognize AI as an aid, not a replacement for another human, recognize or cross-reference information from multiple trusted resources, attribute content derived from online sources, be aware of and mitigate AI-related safety concerns, stay up to date of the latest AI advancements, and also adhering to the guidelines, promoting responsible and optimal use of AI.
And that leads us to our demos, which I'm sure you're one of the things you may be excited about. So Josh and I have developed our favorite demos to share. These are the ones I'm going to talk about. I do want to let you know that when I created many of these, I was not paying for ChatGPT. So the free version does not access the web, but you can create a lot of content. And much of the data that ChatGPT in the free version, Chat 3, was content that was fed to it, and it was accessing, I think, up to the year 2021. With the advent of ChatGPT 4, I believe you can connect that to the web. You do have to pay for it. The benefit of paying also gives you access if their free version gets busy. So it only has so many connections that it allows. And if you really need to access it whenever you want, then you may want to consider getting a paid version. All right. So this first one is a recorded video. All of our demos are recorded, and some of them have audio and some of them don't, just to let you know where we're going with this, just to ensure that our tech does not fail. All right. So I'm going to show you the beta version of Photoshop's generative fill, and I'm going to play with the background of this image where the dog is currently laying on the carpet here. This is my dog and this is a friend's dog. And I'm going to take Bear here and do a quick selection. And so I'm going to I have my selection or move tool active, and then I'm going to just click select subject, and it's going to do a pretty good job. I've done this a few times, and it tends to be fairly consistent in how it selects parts of the image or not. So you'll notice there's some area here that it got, some loose hairs that it missed, but overall it's done a very good job. So one of the things that I can do is I can click this first icon menu item, and I can say expand the current selection by about 3 pixels. See if that does a little bit better. I might go again and do, let's exaggerate that and say 10. That's a little too much. So I'm going to undo that, and I think I'm going to leave it where it's at currently. Now, for me to do some other fine tuning of this selection, I can go to the lasso tool here, and I can either add or subtract from this selection. So to add, you'll want to make sure that up here in the toolbar that you have add to selection checked. And then I just need to create a rough outline here of this paw and circle back and close that loop. And now I've added it to the selection. If I have taken too much selection and I need to go backwards, you can also, instead of add, you can remove parts of your selection. So here we're just going to add a little bit better. And here I'm going to take a little bit away. So I'm going to hit my Option key, or I believe it's Alt key on a PC. And I'm just going to cut away and decrease that selection. And here I've gone too far, so I'm just going to add that back in. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. And in this demo, I don't have to be that perfect. Now, what I want to do is I want to select the inverse of it. So I don't want to select the dog. I want to select everything but the dog. And now I'm going to click in generative fill, and I'm going to say beach scene and hit enter. And then depending on how fast your computer is and the type of computer that you have, obviously the resources on it, it will happen fairly quickly. So I've done this several times now, and I really do like, in general, how it read the image, the lights and the darks, perhaps the time of day, where the lighting is coming from. So if you notice, the lighting here is along the back of the animal. And it over here on the right, you're going to see the 3 options, or you can click through using the toolbar at the bottom. That's really, wow, I like that one a lot. And then here's the last one. And I like this one as well because the clipping along the head, you can see some of the loose hairs, which is kind of nice. The second to the last image also is fairly nice, and you can see the clouds coming through, but it's almost as if the AI knew that, you know, it needed to put something white behind the head. It's just amazing to me what this does. So there you go. With just a couple of clicks, you can take an image and relocate it. Now, if I wanted to, I could also add something fun to this image. So let's say I draw out here a selection, and in it I say dog bowl and just hit enter. And again, within a few seconds, it's going to evaluate the image, evaluate the area that I want this item to be added. And there you go. You have a dog bowl that's been added into the sand. Maybe not what you were expecting to add, but again, that's the power of this AI. Now, let's say that I want to change that and put dog toy, which is a Kong. And again, it's going to take just a couple of seconds to work through that. And there's a Kong toy, or we could choose this one, or we could choose that one. And you'll notice, you know, that the amount of blurriness, it continued to represent that with the toy. So it's fairly in a blurry area of this photo. So generative fill and AI is just amazing, and it's only getting better. All right, the next one, this one just blows my mind, the power of AI for photo retouching. You can do a lot of photo retouching directly in the beta version of Photoshop using the generative fill. And you do have to be particular by your selections. You may want to stay away from faces. It doesn't always render the human body very well at this point, but shirts, backgrounds, hair, it does pretty well. It's amazing. So this is an example of a camera scan of a negative. And so in this particular example, what I've done is I've cropped the negative. I use a tool to basically process that, turn it into a positive. So there you go. This is an image of myself and my family back in the early 80s. So it's 35 millimeter film. And, you know, we thought that was really sharp and great, but there's a lot of noise in it and it's not as sharp as it could be. And so what I've been doing with some family photos that I really cherish is I open it up in Topaz Labs and use the photo AI tool on it. And so on the left there, you can see all the noise in the background and the sunset and on our faces and everything. And once I run it, it's pretty quick. Then on the right there, you can see that it's finished. And then I can move that slider bar over the image and see how well it's done, sort of a before and after. And so once I look at it, in the lower left, you'll see anytime I make a change, it's got to reprocess, and then that progress bar will complete. And so there you go. If I slowly move over it, you'll see how much sharper even the facial tones are. Now, I realize at some point that it didn't catch all the faces and that somehow I'm missing my dad's face. So he's still not sharp and clear like the rest of us. And so once I figure that out, I go back up and I'm like, okay, well, show me all the faces that are being identified. And so there you go. So I'm looking, it's got the right selection, but it did not select one of the faces. So I click on faces and then I tap on my dad's face and I run the tool again. Once I run the tool again, now he's included, and you can see how much better and sharper that tool is. And you can, the bars there, you can determine the strength of the sharpening. And again, you want to do it subtly. You don't want to make it look too sharp and clear, because then you end up looking plastic, like a plastic Barbie doll. So you don't want that. All right, the next one, this was kind of fun. I saw this out there somewhere on the internet, as people were learning ChatGPT and sharing their knowledge. And somebody said, oh, you should do, you could use ChatGPT for creating a landing page. Now, I offer a free simple guide to photo organizing on my website. And so there's a landing page that you end up on to read a little bit more before you determine whether or not you want to give me your personal information so I can send you that PDF guide. And so I use this tool to create a landing page. And so all I did was prompt it, and I gave it my ideas. Let's see if I can get it going. There it goes. And so and this is just the ChatGPT 3 version, and I did not give it web access. And so I type in there what it is that I want it to create for me, and then off it goes. It's just out there creating the content. And you can create numerous versions. You can edit and regenerate the response by tweaking it. Say, I only want this to be, 1,000 words instead of 500. Or in this particular instance, I say, you know what? I'd like to have you include emoticons as you write this content to accentuate certain parts. Who doesn't love emoticons? So off it goes. So I now have all this content and it's added all the emoticons. All right, mind blown. So that was the result. And then what I did was I posted both the original version that I had, and I did A/B testing on the one ChatGPT did. And I let this run for several months. This is a screen capture from back in June. And already the variation that I created through ChatGPT was winning. The next quick tutorial here is how to create social media posts. So this tutorial I also found on the web, and it's a combination of using ChatGPT to create the content, and you download that content and organize it in a spreadsheet. Then you clean it up and you format it so that you can import it as a CSV file, a common separated value file in design in your Canva template. And you use the Canva text placeholders and you upload that and you point it to your content, and then it merges. So I did this, and you'll see here.
There's a plugin too now recently, within the past week, I think, that Canva has introduced to ChatGPT. So I'm excited to play around with that. Yeah.
So there it is, off and running. It's
Wow.
creating 50 quotes for me. And then I use those quotes in my social media posts following those previous steps. All right. This one blew my mind. So I always like to show this one last. So as a new business, a lot of people will tell you, you need to be in video. You need to be talking about your business in video. You need to be sharing it on social media and video and all that kind of stuff. And, I know how to create videos. I don't know if I could create this commercial video as well as it did in like less than 30 to 60 seconds. But waymark.com is a fantastic website. You basically just point this tool to your website and it downloads the images, it downloads content, and it then packages it all up. You can determine how long you want the video to be, whether you want it to be 6-second video or 30-second. You can determine whether you want it to be a vertical or horizontal format. And then you can customize and edit the finished working. Now, this does cost, I think this is $30 a month to then once you have your final videos to download that version. So I used it for several months and then got what I wanted out of it. And I think I've canceled the subscription, and I just go back out there and sign up again when I need to work on something. But it worked. I was blown away. And so
if you've inherited your family's photo collection, we can help. At Save a Memory, we specialize in scanning and digitizing photos so you can preserve your memories for years to come. We can even restore damaged photos for you. Once we're done, you'll have a new digital photo library that's available online anytime. Call us today for a free quote and make managing your photos easy. Visit saveamemory.photo to learn more.
So not only can you change who's speaking, you can change whether it's a female voice, a male voice, their tone, whether it's business or, excited, happy. Anyway, it's fantastic. Josh, you're up next.
All righty. All right. So what I've been doing is a lot of generative AI. So what that means is text to image. Create a vinyl record for me. So that's what I have been working on. We recently digitized and converted about 10 vinyl records from the 1950s. And I thought it would be nice to, get some content out there on social media. So we're going to be using ChatGPT with AI RPM or PRM, stacked with Dolly and Stable Diffusion. All right. So with AI PRM,
How did
it's only an extension with Google Chrome. So we're gonna have to go to the Chrome web store. You're gonna search AI PRM. You're gonna download and check the web page extensions. Make sure it's turned on your page. Then you're gonna log into ChatGPT, and then you're gonna filter down by the topics and activities. So we're looking to create an image. So the video is going to where the video is slowed down for everybody. This is a little fast, this video, so I kind of want to go into depth. We're going to download the AI PRM, make sure that's turned on. And once you have that up and have that downloaded, you'll be able to see that within seconds on your ChatGPT account. This is free, you don't have to pay for it. Only works in Google Chrome, like I said. Then you're going to go into the topics and activities. You're going to go down to Stable Diffusion. You're going to find and click on Stable Diffusion Prompt Generator, Automatic 1111. All these activities is what you can use. This is just the framework or skeleton for your prompts. AI PRM. It allows you to get more in depth and detailed and kind of lean in that direction that you want to go. So once you have automatic 1111 up, you're going to start prompting. Now, after that, you can go to a Hugging Face, and you're going to click on Stability AI Diffusion, and then you're going to copy and paste the prompts that ChatGPT right now has been prompting, and you're going to select that and copy paste it into the provided selections. So you're going to have a negative and a positive prompt. Negative is what you don't want in that photo. So that vinyl record, I don't want it to be blurry or, certain colors in there. That's where the negative goes. The positive is the stuff that you want. So high resolution, let's do retro or vintage, and copy paste that back into Stable Diffusion or Dolly, and it should give you an image. Sometimes it really depends on how you word it. As you can see, it'll give you anywhere from 1 to 4 selections. And as you can see here, I'm not too fond of it. Being a graphic designer, I'm very picky with my designs. So I'm going to go in and use Photoshop to just put my little logo on that vinyl record. So for you to use generative AI, it's instead of using stock imagery, you can create your own images and showcase it that way. But again, be careful, like what we were talking about before, about how to use it, privacy. Just make sure with your brand, your business, or how you go about your work lines up with that generative AI software. So the next one is the coaching chat GPT. So it recognizes and understands your details, such as having a small business. It can assist with SEOs to creating or editing with content using generative AIs, such as Dolly or Midjourney, or any other text-to-image AI. For an example, I use ChatGPT and AI PRM for most of my business-related tasks. It simplifies pretty much everything in the tech world for us to get to kind of convey it to our clients, whether it be instructions for the clients on how to back up their photos and videos on their specific PC, computer, phone, to pricing, social media content, SEO, blog posts, web design, and content. It provides a framework to create what I need, what my business needs, without spending thousands of dollars and thousands of hours of editing, saving me time to focus more on the relationships with my clients, rather than getting those blog posts out, the most mundane tasks. So on the screen, you can kind of see the AI PRM framework on how it, you've got, fully SEO optimized articles. You can use this on ChatGPT 3.2 as well. And that's on, you can see right there, it's on 3.5, which is 3, or if you pay for the 4, it also, if you download it, it comes up there as well. I love using this because it narrows everything down, gives me more of a path to follow, instead of kind of going blindly in, creating images or content. And yeah, I mean, I can't say enough good things about this. It's really helped me out quite a bit. And for the last one, this is very similar. The AI PRM is very similar to the one that we did just a second ago with Hugging Face, generative AI. This one is DALL-E, and it's I believe OpenAI, and this has fewer steps. It doesn't have as many prompting sources that you can use, and you do have to pay for DALL-E, whereas Hugging Face is from GitHub and it's free. This, you do have to pay a monthly subscription, but the images do come out fantastic, and it's just another generative AI to play around with. What I do is I YouTube everything real quick. I see what people do, and then I try out the free version, using my own little twist on it. And then if I like it, I go right ahead and purchase just a month, and then just try to crank out as much as possible on my free time until that month is up. And so it's truly amazing being a graphic designer, graduating in 2016. It's frustrating, but amazing at the same time, since you don't have to edit or restore photos. Spend 6 hours restoring an old waterlogged or burnt photo. It takes like 6 seconds now. So stuff like this is just huge, easy on the eyes, quick. And yeah, I made quite a few right here just to check out. And it really depends on the wording as well. So you can see like design a modern vinyl record. All right, well, what if I get rid of the word modern or vintage or retro? What if I replace that word with another word? So if you delete one word, it will change the whole dynamic of the photo. So that's another part of what we touched on earlier, is be careful how you prompt, because if you keep prompting it in a way, you might not necessarily get what you want. So it is an art in itself to prompt. And yeah, that's pretty much a wrap with generative AI, Gen AI, and text to image that I've been playing around with since what, March, Susan, something like that. And my clients love it too. So I mean, it's great all around. It's fun.
All right, Derek.
Yes. I'm over here soaking it all in. I think with every guest we bring on that talks about AI, it makes it more real, and it also makes the questions more real. So I've gotten super into it, super intrigued. We're going to get into the questions again. This is your time, everybody. If you do have any questions, get them in now. We're going to start it with a question from Paul, joining us on Vimeo. Thanks for joining us, Paul. Does the generative fill produced have the same resolution as the dog? So we're talking about the image of the dog in the dog bowl. How does that relate? That's a great question regarding resolution.
It does. It comes in as a new layer, and you can check that layer if you want. But the resolution is pretty astonished. For me, I'm blown away by these tools. Really, I'm still in the awe moment of everything that I'm learning and doing. So yeah, when you package everything up, it will. Because it's a new layer and you merge those layers and export it out as you like, you've got great resolution.
Okay. So essentially you're looking at something that would be akin to like a vector file, where rather than taking and shrinking text down, you're creating a vector out of that text so that when you upscale it, it's basically regenerating it at a larger size.
Well, it's giving you an image. So behind the scenes is Firefly from Adobe.
Okay.
And I don't know if any of your audience follows Terry White. He's an evangelist with Adobe, and he's one of my favorite go-to persons to learn a lot of this generative fill stuff, not only Lightroom and Photoshop, but what he told me, because I know people are concerned about where it gets its content. Some of these other companies like ChatGPT have pointed their the data that they've grabbed has been with Creative Commons content and open public data. So there's actually a website, and I should have written it down, but you can search to see if you or your name was used in any of the content that ChatGPT created. But the Adobe Firefly is designed to be safe for commercial use because it only pointed for its education in its processing its owned data. So that's all the Adobe stock photos and anything else that they had rights to. So it didn't go out to the open internet. So it's a little different as far as how it created its database.
Okay. I feel bad for anybody whose ChatGPT is pulling my old college essays for data. But you actually jumped into a wonderful question that we were going to get into, Susan. You knew it was going to come, the legality, especially. It's one thing we're playing around and we're just making images to post on social media, but person A is hired by company B to produce commercial content. Where are we at legally?
Not being a lawyer, I would say that I would read all of the policies of terms of service for these tools. And none of us like to read that legalese, but if you are in business and you plan to use this for business purposes, then you should know what those terms of services are. And again, I would defer to using Adobe Firefly for commercially created images if you wanted to create. So a fun thing I stumbled on, because in a lot of these places, you can see a gallery of images where people have prompted the service, the AI service, and a result has come, and you can determine whether you want to share that publicly to the gallery. And when you do, it not only shares the image, but it shares what their prompt was. And someone was creating graphic images for an adult coloring book. Oh my God, blew my mind. And I started creating my own adult coloring books using the chibi owls. I don't know if you know what those are, but they're so fun. And, you can tell it, to make thin black lines or thick black lines or whatever. So that, if you wanted to use those images to commercially print an adult coloring book, right? You would want to get those from a resource like Adobe's Firefly, because you could use it for commercial purposes. Does that make sense? Totally. So you need to know where you're creating the images and what your use will be so that you can stay within the laws. Now, using generative fill in Adobe Photoshop, if you're correcting or retouching, I should say, a photo, and you're making a selection of, a piece of shirt or something, or some hair, or you want to expand the image because somebody cut it to make it fit into a frame, that would all be covered within your license.
Okay. And I will double down on that, Susan, in saying that we are not lawyers here.
Yeah.
If you guys do have questions, specific questions you want a specific answer to, I'll have to see if we can bring Jack and Ed. We have Ed Greenberg, who is an attorney that deals with a lot of copyright issues. We'll have to see if we can get him on here one day. I do want to throw into the conversation, because we did have a program on AI from Mark Milstein from Visual, and they produce and create ethically sourced AI content. So I guess that's going to be something coming into the landscape where people are actually, and if you're up on the Hollywood writer strike, that's been a big thing right now, is signing away your biometric data. So that's something where you have people now creating content that is sourced on, we have people who are signing over their biometric data and creating AI content, and everything is basically traceable, trackable. It's all accounted for with legal agreements. So if that would be something, I guess, that, for anybody who's interested in producing commercial content and they are like me, and if they don't have a release in hand, they're going to worry that 30 years later, a lawsuit's going to arrive at their door.
Yeah, we're into a lot of unventured territory here. So it is
hard. It's
something
hard
to
when
research.
it's hard when like the government doesn't know clearly our data privacy. You know, until we get that officiated and set in stone about our data rights, we're going to be kind of in the limbo until then. That's what I believe and how I think of it. Until, you know, they clearly define our data rights, our biometrics and all of that, it's going to be shaky. It's going to be, you know, tough.
It's like we don't know what we don't know, and nobody's really, there hasn't been a legal precedent that's been set that can be overarching. So I feel like you said, Josh, it's going to be case by case. We don't know. It's hard to really it's an interesting topic to discuss, but I don't think anybody can just rubber stamp it and say, no, you're either this is good, this is not good, because it's so case by case.
Well, in the case of like Waymark, I liked that tool because I pointed it to my own content. It wasn't going out there and randomly creating something from the greater web. I pointed it to my content, and I had uploaded my images, things that were already on the website or things I wanted to add to that video. So again, I think depending on the tool you use, you just need to understand where it's getting that content from.
Okay. Now we've reached the point in the show where I'm selfish, and because I'm the host, I get to ask a question that's been burning inside of me. I want to play around with this stuff. We had an artist on recently, Apeksha Agarwal, who has created beautiful AI creations. And I go in, and it was Midjourney. That was the one that, okay, Midjourney, everyone's using Midjourney. Let me go on. And it's like, okay, I got to sign up for Discord, and I got to go into like a subreddit, and I have to type prompts in, and everything was just so public. And it was like, you type a prompt in and then you wait. It's almost like putting in like a Grubhub order where I place my order, but it's on a public, like if all my Grubhub orders were done on in like a public forum, and everyone's like, wow, why did this guy ask for 16 packets of mayo? There was just something I didn't like. And it's not like my prompts or anything crazy, but we're in an age where I can download an app for something, and I can pull up Photoshop. I can do everything within the privacy of my own setup. We're rightfully so. I think we're all distrusting in public forums and any information that we're putting out there. What is the best way for someone like me to just have some fun and say, I want to go in there and I want to see what I can create?
So if you use ChatGPT, the free version, again, anything you put in there, which is why they tell you do not put proprietary information, do not put personal data that you would not want out there, because you're adding to the data set.
So
right?
Anything that goes in, so all the prompts that go in are, okay.
You're helping train it. Yeah.
You're helping to train it. So if you want to remain like you said, you don't want to see people see that you're requesting 16 packets of mayo. Why is that, by the way? I'm not going to ask. So, stay within your lane and don't use tools like Midjourney, because Midjourney does require the Discord, which I have used. It's fabulous. But if you use something like Adobe Firefly, the only way others are going to see your end result is if you decide to share it to the community.
Okay.
All right. Mm-hmm. So any of your creations stay within your account. Okay. If you use Dolly, that's a paid version. Do your creations show up in the Dolly community, Josh?
Well, you can let it, but I would suggest, I was in the same boat. I'm not going on Discord. I don't want to do all that. It's just too much, right?
Yeah.
So I found Hugging Face off of GitHub. It's free. You do have to do some navigating.
And that's for Stable Diffusion.
That's for Stable Diffusion, correct. As well as eLuna. They have, I made some burner emails and I just signed up. It was literally like WBurner 2023. And I logged in on eLuna, Midjourney, just tried all those out. I would recommend probably eLuna. Okay. I do like their interface. It's a little bit easier to just get the tools, accessibility. And everything's not upfront like Discord and all of that, but I do like Midjourney. So there's pros and cons to everything. Midjourney's up there, probably number one. If you want to just play around, probably eLuna, which is pretty fun. Most of them you are able to share, so people can play off of your image. So like if, you know, Susan has a coloring book and I'm like, oh, I like that coloring book, but she forgot to put this image in it. You know, you could tailor that on, and then she can also see what people have created on top of that. So you're kind of stacking artwork on top of artwork. It's really cool. And I think, yeah, eLuna, Hugging Face, Flicky, and also Waymark, or Flicky and Waymark are the same pretty much for video
creation.
Creation. You can change the voices to Australian accents or South African or, you know, Southern or wherever in the world. So it's pretty cool playing around with that. You can use, you know, through the privacy concerns, excuse me, copy, paste it into ChatGPT, run it through. So, no, I'm just kidding. Just highlighting, seeing where exactly everything's coming from in that small text. But yeah, that I mean, it's just amazing where images have really come from. You know, I was listening to this podcast yesterday about how painters in the 16th and 17th century were trying to get, you know, realism in photographs and using painting and surrealism and all this type. And then it just kind of shifted from, you know, minimalism, realism to something else. So I feel like we're going to see this with AI, is that we're trying to mimic a photo, but we are going to shift it in a different direction, what it's meant for. Same thing with computers and with graphic designers. You have April Greenman from 1970, I think, two. She was a graphic designer, forefront using Macs as designs. Everybody hated her. The whole art community hated her for using it. Thought she was cheating. It's, you know, you're using robots. That's not, artists don't use that. Don't use computers. You're cheating. Look at us today. You know, look at us using Adobe. Every graphic designer uses Adobe now. So
Gosh, we need to wrap up, I'm sure.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh no,
so
look, we're gonna all information is good information. I think that's so relevant that you bring that up, Josh, and also because we see it in all aspects of life. I think the fear is first to set in, and it's driven by, I guess in this case, you know, we really don't know. You have people who are fearful for, you know, that they're going to be outpaced, or feel for that. Why can I not speak today? Fearful that there are people out there who are more creative. They're going to do better things with it, or
they're going to lose their job.
They're going to lose their job, and
that's one of the key things for all these strikes. But again, I think in history, you know, we've learned that as much as we hand off something to a robot or to a computer, you can't ever escape what a human can do, because, you know, we're very unique, and people will still go to the museums to see an artist's rendering of something versus something that Midjourney spit out. So
yes. And even just museums in general. Look, we're looking at relics. We are still looking at art from centuries ago, and it's still relevant. And I think we have that gloom and doom. We love gloom and doom. We love to really play into that, but I think it's only what you make it. I think it's out there, and it creates more opportunities for more people. The early days of social media, I was one of the first people on Instagram posting images that were not taken with a cell phone, and I got excoriated for it because I was cheating, and look what happened now. So that's my own personal antidote to tie it all back around, to say, embrace it. Don't be fearful of it. I want to thank you guys for your expertise on this. We could talk all day on this. We've only barely even scratched the surface. There's so much more to go. And you guys are invited back whenever you'd like to come and discuss more AI. I think this is something that's going to continue to grow in popularity, and with the popularity comes even more questions. So
thank you.
Huge thank you to Susan, Josh, Kathy behind the scenes there, who we're going to see next Tuesday. As she said, we're going to be doing this photo manager series. Next week, we're going to be talking about acquired family photo collections, 5 common challenges, and what you can do as part of Save Your Photos Month with the photo managers. So we will see you guys back here next week. But that is all we have for today. Another round of the B&H virtual event space is in the books. Catch y'all next time.